You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the July 24th meeting of the Michigan City Common Council Fire Department Joint Workshop. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Okay. Double Go, Michigan City Fire Chief. Just like to thank Councilman Paul Prespolinski for calling this workshop. I'm just going to speak real quick, give you a couple points, and then I'm going to turn it over to Captain Joe Zerbs. He's in charge of our truck committee and has done all the research. So the reason we're looking at this truck is that we're looking at the future of the fire department. We'd like to see this apparatus put in service. When it comes in, it would be 3.5 to 4 years before we would get it, but we need to get it on the books now and get it ordered. We're looking at the expansion of the city on the north end with the double tracks, projected expansion on that end of town. We want to be able to cover that area with another aerial in service, so we'd have an aerial on the south side of town and an aerial on the north side of town. With the progression of the city, we want to also progress the fire department and look for expansion. As the city expands, we need to expand the fire department. That's our biggest concern with getting this truck, along with our backup unit would be a 1995 Pierce. So if we have two aerials in service, then we'd be able to rely on one or the other if one goes out of service or needs to be, repaired or maintenance on it. The other thing is the price, and we can go into that later, but if you get on the books now for this truck, you won't have all those increases in the next 3.5 to 4 years. And like I said, Joe Zerbs has all the details. He's going to do a presentation, a video, and give you all the information. Thank you.
So, Captain Joseph Zerbs, Chief had put me in as the head of the committee. Fire Marshal Bruder, Chief Legault, they're both with me on the committee, and there are several others. The truck we're proposing today is the Pierce Ascendant rear mount. The truck, pardon me?
Mid-mount.
Mid-mount. I'm sorry, we're getting the rear mount. The mid-mount. This truck has capabilities of getting a lot tighter places. Shorter than traditional rear mount aerial or even the T-Rex at the moment. Shorter in length, shorter in height. Then coming up here, you'll see where they can follow a pump with this truck due to special steering they got on the rear, which has been in use with the military for a very long time, and they just adopted it over to the fire trucks. So anyhow, 100 foot, it's the same height as what the other aerial is. The rear mounts are 100 foot. This is also a 100 foot heavy duty tower. Again, mid mounts are shorter in length and height. And then they don't have an obstructed view out the front. And if you ask anybody that's driven our rear mounts, you have a bucket hanging over the front of that truck, and you can't see stop lights, you almost clip signs, all kinds of stuff. And there's an idea of what like the traditional rear mount truck is. Once again, with the lower height, this truck comes in at the same height as what our pumps are right now. It's exactly the same height as what engine 1 and 3 are sitting out there. So if they're getting underneath like the train bridge over in 2's district, over there by the old Chevy dealer in town, they'll go right underneath that bridge also. Something simple with this truck and to go along for central maintenance. Central maintenance has always had an issue. We'd have to go down there, lift the aerial unit up in order for them to do maintenance on it. That aerial is nowhere near or over the cab, so they can just lift the cab like they did the other trucks to do their maintenance and everything. As it states, the mid mounts, the firefighters can be up in the bucket, ready to go, without walking all the way down the ladder in order to get in it to be ready for operations. And even with the T-Rex, we have to completely unfold and put it on the ground in order for the guys to get in because of that jib boom. So that wastes more time on setup. It has a lot smaller footprint, so you can set it up within 20 foot. As you see in this city view, they're in the outer lane and they're able to just go across the sidewalk and have that thing set up right up along the building. These mid-mounts are able to hit a lot more of the building, which they call scrub angle. So where a traditional rear mount is, and they'll show you coming up in a couple more pictures, but getting under the wires and stuff like that, you can go straight underneath because they're so much shorter. And then to reach on them, because you're not all the way across the street, you don't have to worry about with the outriggers as much. And actually, they do have a wonderful thing inside these. We drove the one up at Pierce, and they have a camera that actually shows you where your outrigger is going to go. So you can pull up next to a car and know how far away from that car you have to be, and set that truck right there. Or you can even set the outrigger in between two cars if you need to. So this is what I was saying with the scrub angle. So with it set up as such, you can hit all that is blue right there with the truck. The green is its maximum reach. On a rear mount, and it's a little bit difficult to see on here, but on the rear mount, you can see those few broken pieces in the middle. That's what a rear mount can hit. It can't hit anything lower than that. And then up high, that is kind of the same, whether you have rear or the mid-mount trucks, yes.
Hey, Joe?
Yes, sir.
So, what is that, like 8 stories? The scrub angle?
Yeah, you'd be roughly, because you usually figure about 10-foot stories, so yeah, roughly 8 stories. And that's going to be whether it's a rear or a mid. So unless you get something that, like the T-Rex would go up another story, just because it's a 115-foot aerial, opposed to a normal standard 100. So this gives an idea of what you can do. So if we were to set it up, when we were up at Pierce, they gave us, it was a 90-second setup to get the truck set to where 2 guys could jump in that bucket if you didn't get in on the back. In order to get that same placement of the bucket, you got to come all the way out here with a rear mount because it doesn't have that negative angle. The difference between the traditional mid-mounts and the new Pierce ones is they added, in order so that bucket doesn't hang over the truck, that last door on the back, they added an additional, if I'm correct, it's between a 4 and 6 foot compartment back there. That way they say their rear mount, their bucket was over the truck. Well, that's all tail swing. You drive that thing, and coming up there's a video where they show a guy pulling out of the station, gonna hit stuff. But with the way Pierce redesigned it, they were able to take the same truck and get that ladder and the bucket over the complete rear of the truck. We went over the shorter height and all that. Turning radius is a lot better. And because of the lower center of gravity, the truck drives like a pump, opposed to how the aerials are. You don't get as much top sway from them. He went back to the height of travel on this one, and 10'10" is what, like I said, engine 1 and 3 are. That is actually what those pumps are, is 10'10", so it's no taller than what we already have on pumps. So the overall length is between 41 and 43 feet, and that just makes a difference by pump panel that you decide and cab length. But with that in mind, our trucks, and I believe, there you go. So the current platform that they make comes out there at 47 feet 4 inches. So they cut over 6 foot by getting that. And then what they did was they got this ladder to pull up over the truck. That's all they did. Figured out a way to do that. And it shortened the truck by over 6 feet. And then same ordeal, because you're not overhanging the rear or overhanging the front on the traditional ladder. Again, your shorter rear overhang. And they just compared it to what the normal traditional rear mount was. And you can even see the height difference in these. And that was next to another fire truck that they had that showed the additional for the other one on how much shorter it is. So this is one of the videos, and I do not recall the fire department that they did this at, but you obviously see that they got a tight turn coming out of their station. This was their traditional truck that they had, their mid-mount that they had. Now this was the Pierce mid-mount. Huge difference. And if you think about beach walk, that's gonna make beach walk and dunescape. That's gonna make a lot of difference in those areas. So again, with cutting the truck down, your tail swing isn't as much. So you got 6 foot less of the overhang, which you're swinging all the way out here on the traditionals, where this one, you're just in that little red zone, which is basically what our pumps are doing. This one flipped. I apologize if this one flipped sideways. I don't know why it did. But
That's a good shot.
they're following another one of the trucks with the Pierce, and that mid-mount just took all that, went in the other lane, and this guy's cutting it right on the curb. And I know that, again, and this was just he was going down an alley, that was a normal street, and that front truck had to back up, back up in order to make the cut down this alleyway, where the Ascendant was able to just turn right in. And if I'm correct, this was just a standard rear axle on it. But cutting off the time on, maneuvering like that, if you have to stop back up and all that garbage, that's time to get to the scene too. Like I said, this is the only one that they put 2 videos on here.
Is there actually performance?
So the other part of this truck is they have that rear steer on it. What the rear steer is, it turns the rear wheels. Number one, it changes it from doing 8 wheels on the back to just 4. They call them the super tires. They're wider, they're heavier duty, but now they're not going to drag. I believe we said in the past couple of years we did 3 sets of tires on the rear of the T-Rex and lose most of them because of the drag of the rear axle. These turn by 3 degrees, and it'll show it up here shortly, but with this TAC 3 suspension on the rear, it turns by 3 degrees and you can cut such a better angle, and especially again for the north end, as tight as a lot of that stuff is, getting in and out of there, that TAC 3 just helps so much. So this was actually kind of like what you would have at Beach Walk, thank you. I was thinking. And this is without the TAC 3 even. The gentleman that actually designed that truck, that designed the way that aerial set up, the stop sign and the overhang, the fire department took out like 3 or 4 times with their traditional mid-mount because they couldn't cut that corner. Either they had that rear swing that took out that thing in the back, or they would cut so close they took out that stop sign all the time. So again, here's the TAC 4 T3 independent rear suspension. It gives you the 3-degree steer. Again, it's been in service in the military for a very long time. It's just they brought it over to the fire trucks to try to get the fire service to be able to steer easier into areas. They said there's a wear point in it to where if for some reason something gets hit, curved real bad, it snaps these straight. And they'll stay straight until this, it's a basic part that you can get anywhere. You replace that pin, it's back in service, it'll steer again. So you're not going to destroy it by hitting a curve, anything like that. Again, here's what I was stating. So basically they took, and they said that the driver's door would be here on the inside of this angle here. When you add that rear steer, the captain's door, if you were to cut the same circle, your captain's door is at where the driver's door was at, which is totally crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that much tighter of a turn, but that's just because you get that 3-degree steer on the rear. This video, they got a traditional pump, single axle rear, and then that rear steer mid-mount is behind them. He's following 100% where that pump's going. And now you can see the angle on the turn of the rear tires. And there's no drag. That's absolutely insane to try to do with a fire truck. I'm hesitant on doing that with one of the pumps.
That was one of the big issues with the double track about the fire engines getting down all the
Right,
streets that they're closing off.
right. So again, 100-foot reach. And then 93 off the side, which you lose from the side of the vehicle, which will be with anything that you have. Now, it does go downgrade too. And you can increase the downgrade. They showed us up there by, there you go, by tipping the truck. You can tip this truck on one side and increase that down angle on there so that it's perfectly safe. So again, 50-foot or 50-degree scrub angle. So from the back of the cab, and the truck stops, you won't allow you to go past that when it's at the lower portion. You gotta raise it back up to a certain level in order for it so it doesn't destroy anything on the truck. And all the trucks are hard set for that. So here again, they're talking about where you're got 20. Only need 20 foot to set this up. Where even the rear mount that we're getting, you need double that in order to set it up, because in order to get to that first floor, you're not going to get to it unless you're 40 foot away. So now you're across the street. And here, I remember that you were saying that they went out to test this and they were showing within 3 normal parking places you can set this truck up. Just all ideas of what, how close you can get it to do the setup and everything. Yeah, payload capacity in the bucket, 500 pounds, which is 2 of our guys, basically. It's still built, although with the payload capacity and everything, what they're aiming at here is, if you looked at our traditional aerial, what it's constructed of, how large the tubing and everything is, they went down to a lot smaller design and metal work on it that can still handle the capacity in the bucket. And this thing, we were up in it all the way straight up. The guy was jumping around and everything. This thing does not sway. It does not move at all. It's a very stable truck. So where we have to deal with 4 outriggers or stabilizers on our current trucks, they have to go all the way out. This truck only has 2 of them that we have to worry about that go out. The other 4 go straight down to give the stability. And with those 2 that go out, like I said, you're able to see in their camera where you're at in order to put them between cars even. You can maneuver this thing to where it goes right between cars. And with our current trucks, we have to go out, we have to take these pads out, throw them down, go set it up. Well, we didn't get the pads in the right place, so then move them, adjust everything. Everything's attached to these outriggers. Down, out, down, and it's 90 seconds, ready to fly. Then from the ground, all the way up, all the way to the top, it was a 45-second run.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot, it's faster than even the T-Rex. And we thought the T-Rex was quick. So they got the integrated pads right on. You don't have to worry about setting those things up. They're ready to go. And there you go. So those 2 cars are pretty close. And you can set this sucker up right between them. Again, negative 20 degree below grade angle, but you can go even more than that if you tip it. At a normal, with the truck level, you can go -20. If you tip it, I think he said we can get in there 5 degrees, I believe is what he said. But they didn't put that in any of this, because obviously they want most of the time level operation. Different bracket or different other accessories they have for it. They have a platform for a Stokes basket that attaches to it. And then they also have the rappelling points underneath it in order if you have to do a lift or something. Any other questions? A lot of information.
Are we able, do we drive any of the fire engines underneath the Carl Road Horn Bridge?
Yes,
You do?
yes.
The other thing, I know they want to close the Carroll Avenue and Gray Street crossings. We can't let them do that. That is in their plans. No way.
Actually, Carol Ave, well.
Yeah, they want to
that's,
close Carroll Avenue and Gray Street. It is, I've even asked Mike Nolan from Nick that. He said, yeah, that is in their plans.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
so they don't want them to do that. The other one is, are we able to be able to maintain these in-house?
No, this, yeah, there'd be no
We can't
different
do
than
that.
trucks that we have to maintain them. There'd be no difference than anything else that is in the city. I mean,
Yes.
they've been maintaining all our fire apparatus for years.
Is this all gonna come out of lit?
Those are questions that I have, the finance part is stuff I can't really say. The only thing that I can say that, or touch on, that Chief already touched on, was the amounts.
Yeah.
Yes, next week it goes up by $60-something thousand. In October, there's another increase, for sure. We know that there's one in October.
This new one came out of rainy day fund.
Well, yeah, but there's increases potentially every 2 months on the trucks. And we're averaging, I did a little bit of a projection, averaging, if we waited a year, you're between 60 and 70,000 in each increase. Not total, each increase. So if you waited a year, you could be looking at another 450,000 on the truck. That's crazy.
How much are we looking to get for the T-Rex?
Got no idea. That goes back into the rainy day fund anyway.
Yeah, because currently, next week, this will be almost 2.4. After that, it'll be almost 2.45, depending if it's a 2 or 3% increase.
I have a question.
Then further on, it's more. Yes, sir.
So, like I say, let's just say, looking at least $250,000, $300,000 a year. Now, if we order it, it doesn't have to be paid till it comes in.
Correct.
But if they pay off on it over time, once it's paid off cash, they will get a slight discount, correct?
That's what we were told.
Okay.
That's what
So
we were
you can
told.
still order it now and get a discount, you ain't gotta pay for it.
Right.
Technically, you don't have to pay for it for 3.5, 4 years,
Well,
or whenever it shows up.
right.
Yeah.
And according to an email I received from our salesman, they're up to 40 to 44 months right now.
So what would happen if we were able to order this truck?
That's 4 years.
That once we got it, and let's say, we'll just say 4 years for the sake of going back 4 years. We get it 4 years, that would, because of the one we're supposed to get in September-ish, we get this one about 4 years from now, that would put us on a good rotation for replacement. Would it not?
Yes.
Or should?
It should put us back into a normal rotation again.
Right, okay.
It should put us back.
Cool.
But everything's going up, obviously, we know that.
All right.
That's just the way it is. And there's no guarantee on if they are also going to do other increases. They may level out for a little bit, but I was told that there will be a 2 or 3% increase again in October. So we know that. That's fact.
Okay, now we can go back and look at that over the years and see how it's increased.
Well,
Yeah, I
yeah,
can see the prices, we know it's going up, it's not.
1.3 was the T-Rex, I think.
1.5, and I think we got it for 1.
Yeah, we got it for 1.3, but yeah, even if it was 1.5 was a sticker price, let's just go there.
Right.
So you're looking,
And that was, what, 16, 7? Yes.
yeah, it's a 15. So, you're two different manufacturers and,
True.
you know, that does make a little bit of a difference, but still. Where obviously the Pierce has been tried and true for us. And I think that the senior guys in this room can definitely say that. They've held up very well over the years.
So, in the long run, if we order this thing now, we're looking at saving, around at least $500,000 over a 4-year period.
Oh, more than that.
Okay, well, I'm trying to be conservative,
No, he's.
you know, but it could be more. And this is why I asked to have this workshop to see what's in front of us and to do something now, because Joe did say something to me about this price increase coming up, and then another one, and I think that, you know, personally, I think we should do something, because the list, as time goes on, the manufacturing of the vehicle, it could take longer than, they're saying 4 years right now, but if you wait to order it, you're talking more time to it. So I think that we need to really take a consideration on this, because you could be spending I don't know, $350,000 a year. I haven't broken it down completely, but you could be paying it every year out of the lit, and it's not a big chunk all at once as they're manufacturing it. I would assume it would be about, you said it was 2.3 right now, right?
2.30, yep.
Okay, so you're looking at, right now, we'd be spending about $455,000 a year, something like, or, I'll take that back, $500,000 a year out of the lit. And the department, the way I see it, needs the equipment, because this is a replacement for the T-Rex. Because the T-Rex is seen its time, and it's unreliable. The way I see it, it's unreliable, and it cannot complete its mission that it's supposed to do for the city and for our firemen, because I think the firemen are at risk also. You know, and I'm not saying that it could have a major breakdown. I just think it's time to move. You know, it's like having a car to keep on, you know, and get to the point where, hey, I'm done with this thing. It's breaking down on me. I can't even depend on it. And we need to do something. And like ASAP, that's why I look at it, because we gotta save some money. We'll also be saving, who knows, $500,000 to $700,000 over the life of building this thing on increases, because we'll get locked into that price. So I see it as a very rational thing to do to get this thing moving and get it online and you know, get this truck ordered. So I'm going to talk to other council members, and I'm glad to see Councilwoman Tillman here and discuss it with the finance committee. And I don't really think we should wait. I think we should move forward.
And Joe?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I agree totally with what Paul's saying. With a 4-year lead time, 4 years is a long time to wait for anything. But with a 4-year lead time and the financing breaks that we're gonna get, it only makes common sense that we get on this and get with it from a responsible viewpoint to get this thing done. And then the T-Rex will still be sitting here right? Being maintained and spending money on that and,
Right.
yeah, so we're
Well,
throwing
and I want-
good money after bad money with that. This year, we gotta get this ordered, get it going, and do what we gotta do.
I want you to also think about one other thing, and I saw you, Kevin Taylor, but, when we first started looking at this truck, we were still under the 30, it was like 20-something to 36-month timeframe to order it. Look, we're at 40 to 44. This is only a few months.
Yeah?
They've got 250 of them on order, I think is what he told me.
Yeah?
So that's where the difference is, you know what I mean? And then I just reran my stuff that I did, and if there were 6 increases, so if they did every 2 months, on average, it's a $500,000. So next year, this truck can go up by 451,000 on average. If it's only 2%, 354,000. If it's 3% every time, that was 2%. If it's 3% every time, it's 548,000 additional.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you're looking at,
You know, besides the pricing and the lead time, the only thing that really amazes me about this fire truck is the, mobility
The
and the
maneuverability,
technical stature of it and how it's made and how it can do what it can do. Yeah, I think this is state of the art.
and I verified with the Pierce rep, and we were discussing this before the meeting, the way that we're presenting the price is right on almost what we would, 100% what we would purchase. Went through the whole spec. We have a couple things we just have to discuss, which would actually be removals, but probably won't be that much, in savings. However, still, there's really nothing else that I saw in the spec that should have been there that wasn't there. So when we went and we talked with them previously, we pretty much locked in this truck on what it should be already. Kevin, did you have another question?
I just wanted to kind of piggyback on what Paul said, and Don kind of touched on it too, was like, we look at the Pierce that we have now, is 28 years old, and the T-Rex is almost 8 now, and the unreliability of the T-Rex, how it's been, the longer you wait, the older the trucks are gonna get, and by the time we get this, we order this in the next couple months, we're waiting 4 years, the Pierce we have, it's gonna be 32 years old, and the T-Rex is gonna be 12. And as unreliable as the T-Rex, like I said, has been, it's not getting any better. So I think the sooner the better, and would thank the council to look at that and look at it seriously. I appreciate that, along with everybody else, I'm sure. And then, like I said, that gets us back on a good track of, reliable trucks and on a good rotation of replacement also.
I will say that this truck, I see it really working well in the older, tighter neighborhoods on the maneuverability of the bucket, the boom, and the truck itself. On the angle and the negative lift on the boom, or whatever you want to call it. I call it negative lift. This is a very useful truck. I mean, for fighting a fire down in the basin, to rescuing somebody under a bridge or in a car wreck on a bridge, this thing is really, as I look at it, is really a very well thought out piece of equipment, and especially with that rear steering capability that was brought onto it from, was that on firefighting trucks, like on the?
No, sir, that was with, like the 6x6s for
Yeah.
the military.
Yeah.
And it's been used over almost 30 years now in the military. And they use it with, airport
Airport fire.
ARFs, yeah. They use it with those.
Yeah.
And it's been, like I said, almost 30 years. In 26, it'll be 30 years that thing's been used, so, they've been using this suspension. And they have not made changes to it either. There has been no changes. They were explaining that to us when we were up there. There's been absolutely no changes to it. Fire Marshal Brewer, you had something?
Yeah, I wanted to just, from a committee standpoint, to get this process rolling with you guys, with this council, because we know there's gonna be some changes in the near future, and to start all over, it's gonna end up costing us more money and more time.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's important, that should be stressed as well, that we don't wanna start all over, we put so much time into this already. Not just this truck, but the other two trucks, they were easy to acquire because they were available, but we have put a lot of time as far as the committee goes, and we've used a lot of your time as well, and it's appreciated, we just don't want to start all over.
No, I'm ready to move forward with this and get it done. I mean, we have to get it done. Yeah, there's, no sales job, for me, I know what we gotta do. I'm ready to move forward with this.
When did you say that, Joe, excuse me, when did you say that price increase is gonna come?
Next week,
Next
August 1st.
August 1st?
Yes, we have a price increase August 1st, and then he said there will be one October 1st, but cannot project any others past that at this time.
Right. Okay, well,
So,
can you develop, or do you have any information that you can develop, so I can get it in, other people's mailboxes up at City Hall? Not to,
About the increases, or what?
about the, piece of equipment, and, yeah, and,
I can put something together, and
right,
I'll work on it Wednesday when I'm at the station.
Okay.
And I'll get something put together.
all right.
So put the prices in there and the length of time it's gonna take to,
Yes, sir.
all the details.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So just real quick, I wanted to, for Councilwoman Tillman and Councilman Don Zalinski, earlier I stated that with the proposed growth on the north end of the double tracks, we want to see the fire department grow. So I'd like to have a aerial in service on the south end of town, which would be the truck that we'll be getting in September, the rear mount. And then this mid mount will be utilized on the north end of town, we put it in service on the north end. So we have two aerials in service to better cover the city. And then, like you saw on the video, the mid mount is going to be very exceptional on the north end of town where everything's tight and small. So it's going to be utilized on the north end of town. We'll have two aerials in service, is what we'd like to see in 4 years. So we want to see the fire department grow with the city. That's our plan, that would be my plan, that's what we're shooting for. And then like all the other information you've already heard, like we'll be relying on the 95 Pierce as a backup. Because the plan with the T-Rex is to get it fixed, we have to wait 4 months for the parts. Probably 5, 6 months by the time they get it fixed. They always tell us it's going to be a couple weeks, and it ends up being a month and a half to get something repaired. The plan is then to put it up for sale and to get rid of it. Then we'll be relying on a 95 Pierce as a backup. So we want to get away from that also. So we have two areas of service, then we can always have at least one for sure. If one needs to be serviced or repaired, we have the other one to fall back on. But I would like to see it in service at the end of the 4 years. We'll have to, increase the manpower. But if the city's going to grow, so should we. That would be our ultimate plan, or ultimate goal for the fire department in the next 4 years. And just to clarify, obviously we have to put this one out for bid. It's not an emergency purchase, so it's going to take time. That's the other thing we need to get working on. The reason we need to get working on it is obviously we're going to miss the August deadline, which is going to put the truck at 2.386. So almost 2.4 million there. And then the way I understand this, we have until October 1st, right?
Yes.
If it goes past October 1st, it's going to be 2.434. So we're at 2.386
Well, it could be
between August
either,
and October.
it could be either
Oh,
2.434 or 2.458
Yeah.
because of if it's a 2% or 3%.
They said it's either, it can either be a 2 or a 3% increase, sorry.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's between 50 and 74,000.
I don't know if I can speak for you on this, but with budget hearings coming up, I would not anticipate this being stretched until October 1st. So this is something that's going to need to be taken care of or decided
But we don't have to pay for any of it until the end.
Right, no, I mean, as far as that part I understand and the buckets of where those funds should be
Yes.
coming from. But I'm just saying that to make sure that this is locked in will be done before budget.
And then, like we had stated, we do, if you decide to make payments within that 3.5, 4 years, you make a payment, they give you a cash discount right then and there. And then you make another payment, you get on the amount that you pay. The more you pay, obviously the more discount you get. So you don't have to wait till the end to pay. You don't get a cash discount at the end if you pay. So you have to pay ahead of time to get that cash discount, or that prepaid discount was called. He threw us some numbers, but I don't remember what they were.
Right.
And if I could ask one other question, have conversation been had with the administrator?
Spoke to him this morning a little bit about it, so we didn't talk a whole lot about it. We were at the my budget meeting with him, so it hasn't been brought up yet. And I gave him the exact information I just gave you as far as the payments and all that.
Are you able to elaborate on
No,
that?
he didn't come back with anything.
Okay.
And one last thing to think about, guys. Keeping the 95 as a backup opposed to the T-Rex is, the longer the T-Rex sits, there's so many electronics on it, the worse it's gonna get. So if it's not used, it's gonna become a bigger problem. So, you know, as Chief said, the aim is to obviously repair it. When we get some, get rid of it. But there's no way, and truthfully, I feel the 95 is a heck of a lot more reliable than the T-Rex. And it's kind of proven itself already. Sir, you had a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, just an FYI, if they talked about this 4 years ago, the Carwick Road Horn Bridge, if it's ever gonna get straightened out, the city'd have to pony up $2.1 million. And that was 4 years ago. I'm sure probably it's a lot more now. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
Just
Yeah.
mention that.
But so, and currently I know that we can take our pumps underneath there. I think the Quint was able to go under there, but I know the tower and the ladder don't fit. They're too tall. But this being the same height as our pump that we've sitting out there right now, they'll go right underneath it.
That's cool.
Plus, with that goofy, it'll steer right under it too.
Yeah.
So, it's no wider, its actual physical width is no wider than these pumps that are out here. It's the same width of that truck.
So if we get it going, and they're looking at 4 years, but when you make a payment and you get a cash discount, that brings down the total price, right, Joe? Is that what you're saying?
Chief had talked to them about that more than I have. I have not spoke to them about that part. Chief and the representative, they were in
Yes.
contact.
Can you get a breakdown on that?
I can.
Okay, because see with that savings and the savings of not having an increase, we could end up saving some big money on ordering this truck now. Like, I'm doing some numbers here between $700,000 and maybe $800,000 on ordering this truck now. That's a lot of cash.
Right.
That's a lot of, now that's doing something of, that's being, looking down the road, seeing through the forest, seeing the other side of the stream, you know, on how much money you're gonna save. Okay, well, I'm good. You guys, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not running this, so. I'm good because I'm looking at the amount of savings, and I think that since we know everything, what we've been doing and what we know about the, equipment that we have here, that we are in a good position to make a decision. I think we need to move forward. I really do, because whatever we do, it's protect the community and have good equipment for the fire department, so we can get somebody rescued if they need to be rescued, and to fight fires. And also, I think that this truck is really a huge asset to fighting any fire inside the basin. I really do, just with this, of how you can maneuver that boom. And I don't think a lot of people, since I own a boat, that you can have a really catastrophic event in that basin by, I mean, even with having two pieces of equipment. And hey, you never know. And it's just like what other new structure we're having on the north end, a couple housing projects or apartment projects. You know, I think we need to get going on this. Thank you. And you get that so I can get it to the people before the council meeting. And we'll see, I'll do some canvassing on people and see where we're at right now at this time. Because I think that we know we need fire equipment, so we gotta just put the money where we need to put it out of the lit money. Because that's what we should be looking forward to.
Okay, and getting to what Paul's saying is getting the information to the council members, you know, in a paper form is fine, but, you know, if you guys want to come back in front of the council under department reports and make another presentation, just like you did here tonight, Joe, and spell it all out and say, hey, this is what we need to do, and we need to do it now. I mean, I think this here is a better sales pitch, that they see everything direct. The administration is sitting there, they see everything direct. The public is sitting there, they see everything direct. So we don't have to be going and talking to this guy, this lady, you know, this group. This is when the fire department's gonna make the presentation, and we're moving forward from here. And every councilman at that meeting can make his commitment at that time that, hey, I support this, let's go. Yep, that's what I would suggest that we do.
And that's perfectly
Make a
fine.
sales pitch. All the time.
I could be there.
Council, to the public and the administration.
More than happy to be there. It's not an issue by me. If that's how we want to handle it, that's fine.
That's my
I can make those
suggestion. I don't know how
arrangements.
the other council people feel, but
That's fine, and just
Yeah.
make sure so that since you're gonna do the presentation, that you let the, council president know, so that we slot that time out.
On the turkey, minimum as possible.
yeah, you know, 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not an issue.
yeah.
And then I will, what I'm thinking, I will talk to the salesman about is say, a cash discount on, say, 500,000 a year payment. That's what we're looking at, kind of,
Yeah?
500 to 600?
Well,
That would end up being,
Right.
if we did 600, that'd be closer. That'd be 2.4 million in 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, you're correct.
500 to 600,000, is that kind of what you're looking for there,
Yeah.
I think?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, just say, because see, we get that money in there on a quarterly basis, correct? So it would be quarterly payments, so we would have to do somewhere in the neighborhood of 125 grand payments, or something like that, 150 grand payments. But that would be easier to take than, and just ask them about that, either more advantageous, to me, I think it'd be more advantageous to pay it on a quarterly basis, you know, and then we're not taking a big chunk out of there at one time, you know?
Gotcha.
More palatable to everybody, you know? Because I know when you got a big ticket item, it's like, and I think that there's ways I can save money to help you guys. And well, I'll be discussing that in the finance committee meeting this year. Because I think that I think in the long run that there's some money that can be saved on car purchases.
He's got to get to another meeting, so.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Joe.
Appreciate you being here.
Is this through the whole truck committee? You guys don't know?